this is Dear and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video in Hermitcraft Genesis. We are starting with chapter 6. We might get into chapter 7. It just depends on how long it takes. And yeah, I recorded this video for like 50 minutes because I didn't realize how long I recorded it for. I just got carried away. And so yeah, I continued building better. Yeah. Let's get started. If you haven't watched the other parts, you might get spoiled. But then again, if you don't care, I mean, that's fine. Like, some people just like casually listening while I read. That's okay. Chapter 6. Can you take this over for... Let me try that again. Can you take this over to B-Dubs for me? Clara asked when Grian entered the kitchen. 2 days had passed since Scar's disappearance, and Grian couldn't stop thinking about what he'd do when his friend returned. Would Scar need potions? Potions? Did he need to prepare the bed? Should he take him straight to Jelly's room? Grian looked over at Clara, seeing that she was holding a bowl of suspicious stew. Is he awake? Grian brightened. The first thing he told me when I walked in was to grab him something to eat. She chuckled. Makes sense, Grian giggled, taking the bowl from her. Healing can take a lot out of you. The healing factor only works with a balance of sleep, food, and potions. He must be starving, man. Best not keep him waiting. Grian turned toward the door, walking out into the main room. Gem, Pearl, and the teens were outside practicing sword fighting. He was alone with Clara, B-Dubs, and Isaac, who had stayed with his charge. Grian spotted Isaac leaning against the wall by the sleepover room. The bedroom door was open. Isaac smiled in greeting. You've been busy today. I spent the night with Jelly, Grian admitted. I couldn't sleep. Grian heard his name being called from inside the sleepover room. Isaac gave him a nod as Grian walked into the room, carrying the bowl of warm soup in his hands. Is that for me? B-Dub's eyes brightened. Clara told me to give this to you. Grian glanced down at the soup, spotting the white teardrop petals of oxeye daisy. How's regen? I'm feeling great, just a little hungry. It's been a couple days, huh? Grian smirked, handing over the wooden bowl. B-Dub brought the bowl to his lips, carefully sipping the stew. I'm glad you're doing better. And I'm glad you're okay, B-Dub said between sips, beaming at the hermit. Those guys came out from out of nowhere. Grian stared at the ceiling, half expecting to see the bright blue sky above. In fact, the day was cloudy, the sun hidden from view. Yeah. You okay? B-Dubs replied, a frown on his face, as he lowered the bowl onto his lap. The hermit was leaning against the headboard of the bed. I don't know what I was going with that line. Cushioned by soft, white, fluffy pillows. You don't seem to be yourself today. A lot has been on my mind for the last few days, Grian sighed, turning his gaze toward the window. The curtains covered the view outside. Like Liam's secret project? B-Dub smirked, finishing the last of the stew. A little. Liam and Impulse are at Stamby's right now working on it. Wow, B-Dub said. Have you heard back from them yet? No. I just know that they're there. Blake didn't even get to go. Liam's trying to keep this secret. Blake didn't seem to mind. B-Dub shrugged. He came by to see you? B-Dub grinned. That he did! I wasn't quite awake yet, but he was reporting something to Isaac, making sure I was okay. Huh, Grian said. You could have just called. Could have, B-Dub agreed, offering the empty bowl to Grian. Here, Clara probably wants us back. Thanks. Grian took the bowl from him, pocketing it before taking a seat beside the hermit's bed. So how much do you remember about what happened? B-Dub let out a sigh, looking up at the ceiling. Lost in thought. A lot happened. What do you ask? I just want to know what you remember. B-Dub raised an eyebrow. Those assassins looked familiar, like when I was kidnapped and subjected to the redstone virus. They were called like that. Grian nodded. They killed your previous protector. Julius did, B-Dubs corrected, before he saw the light. Those are Mr. A's men. One of them was at least a trained assassin, tasked to capture you. Not this time, Beat-Up said, his gray eyes meeting Grian's. They weren't there to capture us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now. They could have easily swooped down and snatched us away before we could call for help. Grian nodded. Everyone seems to think they were after me. Can't tell us where you and Scar were, Beat-Up teased. Grian winced. Mr. A was tracking that communicator Isaac let me borrow. There's got to be more to it, though, Beat-Up said. They went after me, too. Maybe they're taking revenge on whoever imprisoned Mr. A? Grian shrugged. Maybe. Beat-Up fidgeted with his blue blanket. Think they'll let me walk around? I'm bored just sitting here. Grian snickered. If Isaac's okay with it. That's Ben's. Isaac poked his head into the room. You were nearly sliced to death, Bubbles. Are you sure you're up for it? Take a look. Beat-Up spread his arms wide, showing his unbandaged arms in chest. Do you see any marks on me? See any scars? Look fine to me. Grian pointed out to the boy. Isaac crossed the room, walking to the bed, checking the hermit over. Looks good to me, too. Great. Can I get out of bed? Beat-Up insisted. Isaac glanced over at Grian before nodding. I think it should be okay so long as you don't go far. I want to see what they did to the rest of the house, Beat-Up proclaimed, shoving the covers aside, stumbling to his feet as Isaac steadied him. Grian got up from the chair, heading for the door as his friend followed, Isaac not far behind. Beat-Up's face practically glowed as they stepped out into the main room. This looks cute. It's cozy, Grian agreed, taking in the room for a moment before gesturing to the second bedroom. This is where Matthias, Clara, and Pearl's protector sleep. Wow, we're not far at all from each other. Why to keep a close eye on you, hermits, Clara surmised from the kitchen, especially since some of you have a habit of running off. I only ran off once on your watch, Grian insisted. Beat-Up giggled. Clara sighed, shaking her head. You aren't the only one who's done it, Grian. Trust me, I'm not singling you out. Grian nodded, not meeting her gaze as he slipped a smile. Anyway, Bubbles, our meeting area is over by those couches over there. It's where we hang out and talk about whatever. The kitchen is over there by where Clara is standing. Uh-huh. Beat-Up follows the hermit as Grian showed him around the room, as the two protectors watched. Grian walked over to the elevator, pressing a button as the door opened. We can get up to the second floor here. Is there a basement? Beat-Up looked at the elevator, stepping aside. Grian followed a step behind. I think there should be, Grian noted. Scar wanted one, so he had access to the tunnel system. Impulse wants to add elevators to other bases as well. That's smart, Beat-Up agreed. Better than teleporters, that's for sure. Grian laughed. I'm not sure about that. He pressed the button to the second floor as the door to the elevator closed. The flying machine kicked into gear as Grian's stomach lurched by the shift in motion. The two hermits stood in the elevator, carrying the flying machine. Grian glanced over at the control panel as a minute passed. Shouldn't we be there by now? Beat-Up gave his friend a wary side glance. Grian nodded, checking the panel. Yeah. The right button's pressed. Maybe something's wrong with the elevator? Oh no, it was fine yesterday when the girls and I used it. Grian replied nervously, noticing something he hadn't noticed before. He squinted to get a better look. It was in the shape of a button, and it blended into the panel very well. Someone's been here, Bubbles. Beat-Up's eyes widened as Grian pointed to the button, instinctively going for his pocket. But just then, the flying machine let out a groan before the elevator crashed onto solid ground. Grian yelped as he stumbled, catching his fall as he got to his feet. He could see his friend's face had gone pale. Jem, I think we have a problem. The elevator door began to open on the other side. You could see a dark, deep slate tunnel torches sparingly placed on the walls. The tunnel seemed to stretch on endlessly. The hermit's main concern was what was waiting for them. "What's going on?" Jem's voice slipped into her mind. "It's good to see you two again." One of the men spoke. He was tall and muscular. His face was covered in a black mask apart from his eyes and mouth. "What do you want?" Grian asked shakily, noticing Beat-Ups looked warily over at the control panel. "I wouldn't bother with that, Beat-Ups. We rigged it so we can automatically send you back down here before you can get help." The first man smiled at the hermit. "You're not getting away from us this time." "Clara and Isaac are right behind us," Beat-Up said defiantly, lifting his chin. "They'll know something's wrong. The assassins are back and they rigged the elevator. We need help," Grian said. "Hang in there. We're coming," Jem assured him, as Grian took a step closer to Beat-Ups, hiding how his heart was hammering in his chest. The second man laughed. He was shorter than his companion, slim and lanky. "They won't be able to get you in time. Someone wants to meet you, Beat-Ups." "Me?" Beat-Ups stammered, looking nervous as Grian stood by his side. "Bubbles, do you have a sword?" Grian whispered. "No, not since the attack 2 days ago." Beat-Up shook his head. "Fighting won't solve your problem here." The first man stepped into the elevator. "You are outmatched. You wouldn't stand a chance." "That doesn't stop us from trying," Grian challenged, pressing the first floor button as the flying machine groaned, the door beginning to close. "Press the button!" The first man shouted at his companion outside, lunging at Grian as the hermit let out a cry as he was yanked away from the control panel. "There's nothing to save you now, Grian," the assassin said coldly, wrapping an arm around the hermit. As Grian struggled, watched in dismay as the elevator doors reopened. The second man lunging at for Beat-Ups before the hermit could intervene. "Set out. We got what we came for." "Where are you taking us?" Beat-Ups asked, his voice sounding firm. There was no hint of fear. "You'll see soon enough." The second assassin sneered. "You're lucky she wants you alive." "She?" Grian swallowed. But before he could come up with a retort, he was dragged toward the tunnel. As soon as they were in the dark, chilly tunnel, the hermit heard the groan of the machine. The elevator's door began to close, followed by a clang as something landed on the roof of the elevator. His kidnapper tensed. Turning just when part of the wall was picked away, a familiar figure stood in plain view as a second shadow landed behind with another clang. My shoulder hurts. We shall continue. Chapter 7. "I suggest you let our friends go," Jem warned, her face obscured by the darkness, her voice echoing down the long, dark tunnel as a third figure came down with a clang behind her. The hermit jumped down to stand in front of them, a shiny enchanted diamond sword in hand. "Unless you're looking for a rematch. It's good to see we're doing well since we last saw each other, Jem and I," the first assassin said. "But I'm afraid we're on a bit of a tight schedule today. Care to join us?" Jem raised an eyebrow. "So you can make me watch you kill them?" "No, I'm not here to watch. I'm here to act." "So am I," Pearl said triumphantly, her teal eyes gleaming in the dim torchlight. "No one messes with my friends and gets away with it." "Yet you came down here without your protectors?" the second man jeered. "The fall was pretty tedious. The slow falling we had was enough for the 3 of us. Besides, we didn't know how many to invite to the party." Pearl grinned, her twin diamond sword in hand. "Last I checked, you weren't invited." The first man narrowed his eyes. "We beat you once, and we'll do it again." Determination flared in Pearl's eyes. "I think it would be smart to give up at this point," the third voice said calmly from behind. Grian's heart skipped a beat. "You are outnumbered, after all." "I can easily squish you like a bug," the second man snorted, yelping as someone pounced on him from behind. The man released Beat-Ups as the hermit stumbled, turning to the first man, his gray eyes ablaze with defiance. I don't know what I was about to say. A cry stuck in Grian's throat as beat-ups lunged at the man, holding Grian captive, sending the three of them tumbling to the ground. The assassin loosened his grip on the hermit, allowing Grian to roll away from the man. Someone grabbed him by the arm, pulling him up. Glancing back, he found that beat-ups was by his side. "First, you wanted to kill us, and now your leader wants to see us?" Beat-ups spoke simply, as Jem and Pearl walked toward them, protectively standing beside them. Jem on the left by Beat-ups, Pearl on the right next to Grian. "Can't she make up her mind?" The first man groaned, getting to his feet, as Grian watched the figure who had come to their rescue stand in front of them. It was Blake. "Things have changed in the last 2 days," the man sneered at the hermit. "Not that you need to know." "Do tell, otherwise we'll send you both to a friend, so he can deal with you and your treachery," Jem said sweetly. "Unless, of course, you'd rather we finish the job." "Good. They are in a mood today, otherwise known as in heat." The first assassin laughed, pulling out his dagger. The second man doing the same. Hang on 1 second. I don't know how that happened, but it's fixed now. "We aren't afraid of your threats, Gemini. Julius wouldn't get us to spill any more than Rose could. Besides, doesn't matter. As I speak, backup is coming down this tunnel. You will be outnumbered with nowhere to run." "You installed cameras here?" Pearl gasped. "How would they be able to see anything?" "Perhaps we can show you, if you like," the second man taunted. "All we ask is that you drop your weapons and turn yourselves in." "We'll do no such thing," Blake said matter-of-factly. "You forget, we aren't the only ones upstairs. The base is full of children," the second man scowled. "Some of which aren't experienced fighters. If you want numbers, we can get more involved," Jem said simply. "How many of you are down here?" Gemini. The first man shook his head. "What good is your army if they're not here to protect you?" "You sure about that?" a voice asked as the tunnel behind the men exploded, the roof collapsing behind them, sealing them in. More figures started jumping down as Green's eyes widened. Clara, Haley, Kate, Eliza, Josh, Luke, Caleb, and Isaac were all stood behind the men. "What? How?" The first man whirled around, losing his calm demeanor. "And both taught me a few things about redstone," Luke said confidently, "one of which is how to cause a safe explosion." The first assassin scowled. "We're not going to giving up without a fight." "I was hoping you were going to say that," Jem beamed, jumping at one of the men. Sword raised as Pearl leaped in after her. Grian watched in shocked silence as the men were slammed to the ground and knocked out within moments. Jem's eyes were ablaze with triumph before they softened. "Clara, can you help me with tie these men up?" "Of course." Clara came forward. Her hand fell on Hermit's shoulder. Grian looked over, seeing Beat-ups watching him. "You okay?" Beat-ups asked with a gentle smile. "I'm fine. It's just, I don't understand," Grian muttered aloud. "What's there to not understand?" Beat-ups looked back at the group. "We did it! We captured 2 assassins, and we will make sure they stay locked up for good." "That's not the problem," Grian said nervously. A glint of metal caught his eye as he looked over. A wave of dread washed over him as he spotted a thin, dark powder lining the blade. The world started to spin. "Whoa," Beat-ups said gently, steadying the hermit as he pulled up close. "You okay? We're okay." "Oh." The word caught his throat. Grian pointed at the dagger lying on the ground. "Oh." Beat-ups was all that Beat-ups whispered. Grian closed his eyes, trying to take slow, steady breaths, trying to calm the panic rising up within him. "Things have changed over the last 2 days." The man's voice rang in his mind. What did he mean? What did it mean for him? For all of them? He didn't know. He wanted to know the answer to these questions. Okay, we can continue. It's not the next chapter, it's just a break. I just want to check. I guess that was just a little tease on my part. Beat-ups helped Grian sit down on the couch of the meeting area, the velvety fabric brushing past as he let out a sigh. He trembled as the moon faded in and out. Yet he had been able to remain calm enough to tell Clara what was going on. The dagger had been confiscated, and Blake and Haley had taken it upstairs by a temporary ladder that was installed. No one dared to take the elevator up to the second floor, even though the chances of the men trying to use it again were slim. Grian swallowed, unable to get the image of the blade lying on the ground of his mind. Someone could have gotten seriously hurt. Or worse. Grian pushed the thought out of his mind, waves of panic threatening to burst again. His mind wasn't helping much either, as it whirled with hundreds of questions, many of which you have answers to. Figure this out, Grian. It's okay. Beat-up said gently, taking a seat beside. No, Grian shook his head. No, it's not okay. Jem or Pearl could have gotten hurt if the men had been able to strike. Someone could have been killed, and it all because we used an elevator. How did those men even get in here without being detected to manipulate it? I don't get it. I don't either, Beat-up admitted. There was always someone here who would have seen something. There are cameras, visibility detectors, even a basic security alarm. Beat-up shook his head. Maybe they tunneled up from behind the wall? Maybe, Grian mumbled. Don't feel bad, Beat-up replied gently, patting Grian's shoulder. Everyone was right. Everyone had the right to freak out sometimes. But 2 days ago, Impulse and I were talking about how the assassins hadn't used any sort of virus or infection to hurt us. If they were given that virus, they would have killed us. You would have been dead, Bubbles. I don't understand. Grian put a hand on his face, closing his eyes as he tried to push the onions away. She involved after all. Who? Beat-up furrowed his brow, startling Grian. Had you spoken that question out loud? Julius was worried about a new virus that one of his father's friends and fellow scientists were working on. Grian sighed. He warned Impulse about it. Her name is Dr. Redstone. Do you think she is the one in charge? Beat-up frowned. I don't know, but something happened, Grian replied. They got their hands on the virus shortly after the attack on us, which might explain why they didn't have it to use on us. Whether Redstone gave it to them willingly or not is hard to tell. Maybe we can see if Blake and Haley have found out anything. Or if they've called Julius yet, Beat-up offered. It'll give you something to do to try to keep your mind off what you're worried about. There's so much to worry about. Camp Altascar, Liam and Impulse are out there somewhere trying to get him back. We got attacked twice within the span of 2 days by those men under different leadership. What is going on? Grian groaned, letting his hand fall from it to his lap. Let's go see if there's been an update, Beat-up offered, getting to his feet. It's only been, 5 minutes? Beat-up offered a hand. It'll be good for you. Besides, I want to see what you guys did to the second floor. There's a roof area, too, Grian replied, so we can get a good view of the surrounding area, see over the wall. Can you show me? I don't want to risk it, Bubbles. Not after something like that. I don't know who could be watching. Come on, G, where's your sense of adventure? Beat-up teased. You've always been eager to check out what's been going on. I just don't think it's a good idea right now. Everyone's tense as it is. Since when have you been some rule follower? I just need a minute. Grian sighed, sitting up straight on the couch, massaging his temples with his fingerprints gently. Do you want me to help? Beat-up offered, kneeling beside the hermit, putting his hand on top of Grian's. Please, anything will do, Grian pleaded as Beat-up smiled, gently pulling the hermit into a hug. Grian closed his eyes. returning the embrace and tightening his grip as a wave of calm and peace filled his mind, silencing the silencing the voices. Tears pricked Grian's eyes as he pushed them back. "Thank you. It's not as strong as Scar and Impulse could do," Beatles admitted, pulling away. "But I wanted to try." Grian nodded, looking over at the window. The afternoon sunlight filled the room with a warm golden glow. "It did help. I'm here if you need another one." Beat-Ups grinned, getting to his feet. "Now, do you want to see what Blake and Haley are up to?" Grian returned the smile, rising to his feet as well. The dizziness and fear evaporated away, replaced with a new confidence. He had no reason to be afraid. He was surrounded by friends. Friends who had his back. "Yes, we should do that." Beat-Ups nodded, bolting for the ladder as Grian followed, glancing over his shoulder to see if anyone was watching. He didn't see anyone by the kitchen or the bedroom, but he did steal a glance toward the window again. There was a sliver of the forest through a split between the curtains. He blinked for a moment, stopping in his tracks. Was that a shadow of a figure sitting on one of the branches? Goosebumps shivered down his arms. His stomach tightened. "Grian?" Beat-Ups asked, already halfway up the ladder. "I'm coming," Grian said quickly, grabbing the first rung of the ladder. Who was watching them from the shadows? What were they doing there? Am I that paranoid? Grian pushed the thoughts aside, following Beat-Ups up to the second floor as Beat-Ups pulled him up to the top. He soon forgot about the shadowy figure as he showed Beat-Ups around the second floor, even showing him Jelly's room, the two of them taking turns giving Jelly a good stroke and a scratch behind the ear before heading to the workshop. "The girls did a good job on this," Beat-Ups marveled with a wide smile. Grian kept his gaze forward, spotting the open door of the workshop. "Hello?" Haley's voice called before her head poked out of the doorway as she smiled at them. "Come to see what we've been up to?" "Yeah." Grian was getting lost in his thoughts again. Beat-Ups chuckled. "Those didn't end well." Grian glared at the hermit, chuckled as Haley shook her head. "Blake and I have been trying to analyze what we have here based on the notes Impulse left for us." "Is it safe to come in?" Grian stopped at the door, standing only a few feet from the teen. "Very safe," Haley mused with a smirk, gesturing for the two of them. "We've been able to narrow it down some. It's got a good dose of wither rose and hint of corpse flower." Grian swallowed, peeking into the room to see that Blake was looking over a piece of paper, then looking over at the blade again. There was a wilted and blackened flower nearby as Grian's blood ran cold. "How do you know?" "The plant withered when I cut it," Blake reported, not looking up from his work. "And it disappeared from my hand and landed on the floor." "Oh my!" Beat-Up's eyes widened. "Did you do the redstone test?" "Yep, it didn't do anything," Blake said simply, finally looking up at the two hermits. "It's similar to what Julius shared with Impulse. Not many changes." Grian walked into the room, followed by Beat-Ups behind him. "Have you talked to Julius about it yet?" "I wanted to get a good analysis first." Blake smiled gently at Grian. "Julius would have told us if he found out anything, wouldn't he?" Beat-Ups asked nervously. "I believe so." Blake turned to look down at the dagger again. "This seems to be a recent application, so they must have gotten their hands on it within the last couple of days. But how? Would Rhinestone give it to them willingly?" Grian looked toward the window of the workshop, watching the sun make its slow, gradual climb toward the western horizon. "That's the million-dollar question," Blake sighed. "Hopefully Julius is okay." "Why wouldn't he be?" "He's trained at getting out of sticky situations," Haley insisted, seeing a look of uncertainty on the other teen's face. "Mr. A taught him to be an assassin, just like those two goons we caught today." "Not everyone is perfect," Blake muttered. "Not even my cousin. If he felt like he was close to something..." He shook his head, tossing a towel over the dagger before wrapping it around the blade. carefully placing it into a shulker box. He told me he'd keep me updated at the end of each day. I never heard from him last night. You haven't? Haley furrowed her brow, going over to the young teen. Maybe he was busy with something at the time. I thought that too. Blake put a hand on it in his pocket. But you would have told me if you sent a signal. If I sent a signal. Which I did. He didn't pick up. I decided to give him until morning. Try calling him again, Haley said. Maybe he was tired and missed your call and forgot about calling you in the morning. Blake smiled. Yeah, maybe. He pulled out his communicator as he pressed the button. The device buzzed and vibrated in his hands before it went silent a few moments later. Blake frowned at the screen as Haley's face went a few shades paler. What is it? Beat-Ups insisted, walking over to see what they were looking at. Grian walked forward, looking over Blake's shoulder as the boy turned that device to let him see the screen. 2 bold red words were on the screen. Letters were clear as day. No signal. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, we'll see you in chapter 8 next week. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I definitely didn't already know that was coming. But yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one. Whatever that might be. Goodbye.